Without being in the same room with the naked eye, it's going to be a little bit hard to get a good grasp on this, but we'll do the best we can and we'll zoom in as well as we can. And for this, we are going to be in normal mode. What's going on, everyone? This is the Kindle Scribe, Carta 1200. This is the iReader Smart X3, Carta 1300. This is the only Carta 1300 device in the entire world that you can purchase. Outside of prototypes, outside of trade show samples, this is the one. We're going to see what the differences are as best we can, doing page turns, looking at contrast, and just kind of going over the blacks, the whites, etc. So let's kick it off. This is as consistent of a comparison as we can get. They both have a Wacom layer. You can use the same pen on both. They both have flush screen and bezels. They are both larger than 10 but smaller than 13.3, and they're essentially going to be the same thing as a good kind of basis of comparison. Now, when you're looking at them, I will tell you straight up, there's almost no difference. Your eyes aren't going to be drawn to this and say, oh my goodness, this is significantly better than the Kindle. It's just not. The only thing I could ever pull right out of the gates is that the blacks are blacker. They're just truer. That's the only thing you can see. If you compare this right here to this one right here, these blacks are truer. They're darker, they're more consistent, they're less grayed, they are just blacker. Other than that, the whites are the same on the background. They're both kind of the same distance away from the glass screen cover. You can see by the shadows on the side. They're really not going to be a night and day difference in terms of first time appearance. We have these as close as possible with the same amount of boldness and everything applied to make it look identical. Now, again, not going to be night and day, and the kind of body that the device has is also going to play into your overall kind of opinion of it, because some devices are very black right here with a stark contrast between the white and the device's construction, whereas the Scribe, for example, uses a little bit of a lighter graphite versus a dark jet black like this. And this goes into play when manufacturers use other colors like blues and whites and stuff like that. But for the screen itself, the whites on the background are the exact same because neither of these are using color, but I will say it all comes down to how rich those blacks are. And you will see right here, that's pretty evident. If we do some zoom ins here, you will see that pound for pound, the Kindle is just lighter. Compared to 1300, it is a little bit more fuzzy. This is the same camera shot, just zoomed in a little bit, and you will see that no matter the character, straight characters like T's, H's, rounded characters like E's and O's, they are a little bit different. Not a lot, but it's a 20-odd% difference in contrast, and it does make itself apparent a little bit when it comes to the overall look of it. Before we get into note-taking and showing you some other stuff, the biggest thing, other than the contrast, because there's really only two differences, the contrast and the 27% improvement in speed, response speed. How does that play into changing pages at the exact same time? I gotta say, the Kindle looks like it's getting there quicker, but fuzzes itself without any forced animation. That's not a planned animation. It's just the way it turns pages looks like it leaves a couple letters behind when you swipe left and right. Whereas, on the iReader, it's more of an instant change, although it gets there later. Now, this could be down to the overall UI elements and the way that the software works, because remember, this is not a Kindle and this is not an iReader, but they don't make an X3 with two different screen styles, the 1200 and the 1300, which is why we have to compare it to something we all kind of know, which is a 1200 Scribe. But I will say that this is actually getting there later, but it snaps next to the next page, whereas this one kind of blurs itself over into its next transition. whereas this doesn't seem to be doing that. I gotta say, dark mode is quite telling. You'll see here that that is not as black as that. Even if we switch positions, this is the same room and the same shot. You'll see that that is more black on the iReader. This has those little rubber stoppers at the back. This is far more pale than this. The blacks on the X3 are so true compared to the Kindle, which looks a little bit lighter. Now, again, you know, it's our job to nitpick and dissect things, but we're seeing a couple hues on the grayscale lighter on the Kindle than the iReader, and these are both the system setting dark modes. This is not us changing anything in terms of the contrast or anything like that. We left this the way it was, exactly at zeroed out or the reset defaults. And if we turn back to bright mode, you'll see that those settings come back like that. Now the whites are just the absence of anything on the screen. There's no particles at play, so the whites are consistent. But the black mode is when the particles do show up, and it is better on the Carta 1300. Obviously, this is not a test of the matchup of multimedia, because this can be used for music player, audiobooks, and a whole bunch more. This has some apps on it like Evernote. This doesn't. The Kindle doesn't have anything like that. It does have some audio, but it doesn't compare to this because you need to connect Bluetooth, whereas this has a speaker, etc. So we're not looking at that today. And we have the fountain pen on both, black with the largest stroke size on both. So we're going to see exactly what they look like. I would say that there's no real difference in latency. The Kindle seems fast. This seems fast. The iReader's quick. Nothing's really lagging or anything. And I must say, you know, the Kindle does have a pretty decent screen when it comes to the feel of the top coat that they put on there from factory. But it is a little bit more slippery, whereas the iReader is a little bit more grippy. So that's a subjective opinion, of course. As you know from watching our videos, I go a little bit off script and I say that I like the gritty nature of the screen a lot more, because I do. I don't like the smooth kind of iPad-esque screen. I've never really liked them. I don't think they're very good. I think it just doesn't feel as natural and as real. This feels like more like paper than this does. They both show kind of the same amount of staining in the background as well, as you can see there, but I will say it comes down to this again, where you just see the blacks a lot better on the iReader than you do on the Kindle. In closing, everyone, why are we talking about this? Reason being because Carta 1200 and Carta 1250 are earmarked for basically everything in the industry right now, from Onyx to bigme to High Read and Hisense, and just everyone's using Carta 1200. This is the only unit using Carta 1300. 12 and 1250 are the same thing, it just has to do with latency on note-taking, but basically the 1200 series and the 1300 series have never gone head-to-head yet. This is the only time they've ever been in the same room in the same shot. Carta 1300 has only been employed by one single company, and in fact when we went to a couple trade shows both in Hong Kong and Japan, the EINK employees we asked about this didn't even know what Carta 1300 was. We actually had to email the higher ups to even get a spec sheet and a change log, so to speak, of what's different between this and this. So this is pretty exclusive stuff, and iReader is employing it, and it is for sale. We've been selling iReader stuff for quite some time, so if you do want to grab the latest panel, it is here now. And basically anything else you'll get, from Onyx to bigme to MeBook and Boyu, the older Boyu, anything just going to be 1200 or 1250, the quaderno, the readme, etc. So this is the differences, the core differences of real life kind of usage on 1200 versus 1300. If you guys have any other questions, leave them down below.